Okay, so here we go, 5 at 5. I really am keen to know what people who are going to watch this show think of what happened at the Ashes. I think it was a disgrace. First things first, Ben Stokes have torn into that MCG pitch and has said that had it been in some other part of the world, it would have gotten a pasting by now. And I think Stokes is absolutely right when he says this. Let me give you some facts which Gargi, my producer for this show, has given me. Uh, 10 millimeter grass at the MCG. 144 overs is what was bowled in the fourth test over 2 days and game was done. So we are talking about an average of 35, 36 overs per innings. We are talking about a total of 12 days of cricket in the Ashes series in 4 test matches. So average of 3 days per test match. This is what we are talking about as far as the Ashes, is concerned. What has Ben Stokes exactly said? Let me read out the exact comment. Shomik Chakraborty has done a piece as well. He has said, if that was another condition somewhere else and that happened, you probably would get a pasting. I'm pretty sure if that was somewhere else in the world, there would be hell on. Hell on. That's Ben Stokes for BBC Test Match Special. So that's the kind of reaction that the Ashes, and by the way, despite England winning the Test match, this is the winning captain speaking about that wicket. And Steve Smith, the Australian captain, has also expressed his surprise at what Matt Page did by leaving 10 grass. Now let's decode the show. What I'm calling the show is Test cricket was the loser at the MCG. And let me try and decode it for you. Cricket fan 278, shameful test display, pitch performance all, precisely. You know, the Boxing Day test is an annual ritual. I have covered the Boxing Day test 5 times. 2003-4, 2007-8, 2011, 2014-15. Yes, 2014-15. Sorry, 6 times. 2018 and then in 2024. Having covered the Boxing Day test 6 times and having watched the Boxing Day test a few more times, I can tell you this, that people prepare for the Boxing Day test months in advance. Families make plans. It is part of a ritual. People get their tickets. They book hotels in Melbourne. That Jolimont Street area where the MCG is located, if you check accommodation, the prices go up. By about September, the prices start going up. That entire Flinders Street area, all of these residences, prices go up. Hotels make brisk business. Melbourne becomes the real hub around the Boxing Day test match. Families come together, people come together, lots of exhibition kind of things happen in and around the test match. There's plenty that Cricket Australia does. When you have that kind of a spectacle on, when people from across the world have made Melbourne home, they've bought tickets months in advance, now think that there is no day 3. Tomorrow, what would have been a Sunday, a packed day at the MCG, once again, a 95,000 people. That's where people will go to an empty MCG and roam around because the game has gotten over in 2 days. I think it was a real shame. It was a real disgrace for Test match cricket. It was something that Test match cricket can do without. And if you take a look at the dismissals today and some balls, oh boy. The ball that Travis Head, by the way, was batting beautifully. The ball that got Travis Head. Now tell me, how do you play that ball? How on earth do you play that ball that got Travis Head? You can't play that ball. Steve Smith, he started laughing when there was a ball which jumped up like this and he started doing this to I think, Josh Tongue. It was either Josh Tongue or Bryden Cast, possibly Josh Tongue. So when you see stuff like that happening on the pitch, Ben Stokes, the ball that Ben Stokes got out to, did you see the kind of bounce towards the very end where he flashed, he got out? And what it did, England was literally down and out because Australia had completely taken control of this test match. And this show, I will decode this. What it did was it allowed Bazball a new lease of life. Bazball was kind of done and dusted. Bazball was thrown away in the bin. 3 test matches gone. England's staring at a 0-5 defeat. Brendan McCullum under enormous pressure. Ben Stokes under enormous pressure. Bazball being questioned. Unidimensional strategy. And all of a sudden, you have a 175 chase. The moment it's a 175 chase, it becomes very easy for England to employ Bazball, because without Bazball, that chase is unviable. In fact, the moment Ben Duckett came, he played the scoop, he tried to play that lap, he played that scoop which went for 6, miscues which went over third man, and England raced away. Duckett got to 34 of 26. Crawley was giving him company. At no point the scoring rate was less than 5 or 5.5. In fact, I was surprised when they sent in Joe Root and not Harry Brook. They sent in Bryden Cars at number 3 chasing 175, and you understand why. It was test cricket disaster at its best. This is not what you want to watch. And in doing so, what Australia did, they played into England's hands. This is very India. India did the same against New Zealand last year. You want to grind the opposition into dust, and you create such kind of wickets where it becomes a lottery. Ajaz Patel and Mitchell Santner became demons. Here, average fast bowlers became what they are. Think of Mitchell Starc, absolute dream. What an incredible bowler. And here, others, Michael Neser, for example, looked as devastating. England bowlers looked, as devastating, if not better. Mitchell Starc, being the champion that he is, all of a sudden his utility or his impact was diminished because of the nature of the wicket that the MCG curator Matt Page provided. 10 mm grass, ridiculous. 7 mm is enough. And all of a sudden you leave 10 mm grass on that wicket, and what you created was a lottery. Every ball, literally every ball, the batters were trying to go for shots, because one ball will have your number. Is this the kind of test match cricket we want to see? Now, how do you describe it? You guys who are watching it, how do you describe it? Do you see 20, 36 wickets falling in 2 days? Not even 2 days. The last hour wasn't played. The game got over at 11:45 India time, can continue till 12:30. So not even 2 days and the game got done. 36 wickets fell. England could have lost a couple more. They won, but I think test cricket was the real loser. Quite a few questions. Let's take this. Abhishek Rawat, Anshu Mishra, bro, Vadan. There's a previous question. Let me take quite a few. Okay, let me take as many. Wait. Sports fan. Wait. Oh boy, quite a few. Okay. If this match lasted for 5 days, man, oh man, imagine what records it would have broken. Number of attendees. You are so right. Abhishek Rawat, you are so right. It could have crossed 400,000 in terms of this match alone. You were getting crowds of 90,000 plus 94,200 day 1. Similar crowd on day 2. Brilliant comment, Abhishek Rawat 582. Absolutely spot on comment. And that's the precise point I was trying to make when I was referring to fans. People make plans long in advance. People make plans to come to MCG and watch this as part of ritual. Fathers treat their sons or their daughters. Boyfriends treat their girlfriends. People get married. Families come together as a spectacle. Friends travel together. This is a bucket list. Boxing Day is an absolute bucket list, and we converted that into a disaster. 2 of the greatest red ball teams played stinky cricket over 2 days, but it was fun. And I don't think it was fun, my friend. I think it was a disaster. What you rightly said, played poor. I mean, how would you even say played poor? You have batters of the quality of Root. You have batters of the quality of Steve Smith. You have batters who are our generation topmost batters, and they had no chance on this wicket. Did you see the way Steve Smith reacted? Because he had no other option. And that's when you have converted this. And that's why I say test cricket was the loser. So, okay. Imagine 3-0 lead, and then you're under pressure going into such as cricket. And you've self-created it, RM2505. I've done a column today. You can read it tomorrow at 8 a.m. in the morning. It was self-inflicted and self-created. You created exactly what India did against New Zealand or we did against South Africa. You created a monster. And the moment you created a monster, you could not control the monster. Because England, a relatively weakened team, all of a sudden their bowlers who could have been tired, all of a sudden their bowlers looked a couple of notches better. And somebody like Mitchell Stark, who is a couple of notches better than anybody else, looked okay because this is a wicket where any average bowler, because if he just pitched in line, the pitch would do the rest. So the gap between Mitchell Stark and the rest of the bowlers were nullified. England went on the Bazball route, and that was the only route to be taken. Why would Australia do this? Is it because no Nathan Lyon, no Pat Cummins, and no Josh Hazlewood? Were you insecure that with a Jai Richardson and a Michael Neser, you will not be able to get the English out? Were you underconfident despite a 3-0 lead? Were you a little insecure that, oh, you know what, with our second string bowlers, we are not confident of taking England down? Whatever it was a wrong ploy on the part of Australia, and that backfired royally. Royally. If in this match, the pitch backfired on Australia, just like rank turners. Exactly what I said, Priyanshu, didn't I? Exactly what I said, that's precisely what happened. Desi Murgi, can you do a deep dive of why we are having these kinds of pitches across the board? Is there a crisis of curator competence, expertise? Very, very good question. Something that Gargi actually had mentioned in her notes to me ahead of the show, that why is it that we are seeing with the WTC many of these wickets? But Matt Page last year prepared a first-class wicket when India played. If you remember, had Rishabh Pant not played that shot which got, he got out to Travis Head day 4, India may have saved that test match. If we were all there, 6-7 of us were there, India could have saved that test match. The session between luncheon and tea, India did not lose a single wicket, and that was day 4, day 5. I thought it was a classically good test match at the MCG last year. So when we are talking about a poor pitch, this particular one was like that. And that's why I'm thinking, was this an instruction from the management? Because the team had depleted strength, no Hazlewood, no Cummins, no Lyon. Did that make England a problem in terms of getting them out? Who knows? Yash Dhul at 3, Yash Rathod at 5, we will be formidable in test 2. Doubt it. Doubt it. I really doubt it. Haven't seen anything to suggest that, these guys can set the world on fire. Yash Dhul did show potential, but have you seen enough? I haven't. Australian curators are highly qualified. It's about home teams asking for quick wickets. Australia main pacers aren't there. Stark is tired. Could have been one, but to leave 10 grass, Matthew Page, when you say highly qualified, some of the tracks in recent times, last year, Sydney, disaster. Michael Clarke was on record to us seeing in his 25 years of playing cricket at the Sydney Cricket Ground, it was the worst pitch that he had seen. So within 1 year, January of this year and now December of this year, we are talking about 2 test matches which are horrible advertisements for the game. At the SCG and at the MCG. These are the 2 hallowed turfs. You are talking about 2 of the most important test matches of the year's calendar, the New Year test and the Boxing Day test. Is this result help in, what is this? Sorry, just too many questions flying past. Boria sir, some reports were telling KL will be dropped from test. Not at all, not at all. No, absolutely not. KL Rahul has had a reasonably good year. In England, he was brilliant. Remember that Manchester innings of 100, along with Shubman Gill. He got a 100 in Leeds. He stood up. Come on. I mean, anyone who says KL Rahul, he's had a poor series against South Africa for sure. But before that, the way KL Rahul batted against England, the way KL Rahul batted in most of the year, absolutely not. I mean, credit where due. KL Rahul was definitely one of your better batters in Test cricket, except the 2 Test matches at home against South Africa. So no, the answer will be a flat no as far as I'm concerned. Fitbunk, absolutely bottled our 125 chase. In either this year, our opener should have used the template. I totally agree with Fitbunk. In fact, in our group, this was being discussed and debated. Yashasvi Jaiswal could have done this, but if you remember, Fitbunk, he got out at the very start to Marco Janssen, and that's when the slide started. KL Rahul could have and should have attacked. India should have tried something else, sent Rishabh Pant up the order. They followed the conventional pattern. They sent in Washington Sundar and Dhruv Jurel. Maybe they could have done things differently. Why Jurel? Send somebody like a Pant, or send somebody who could come up the order and start hitting the ball. Somebody like an Akshar Patel, like the way England tried with Bryden Cast. Change the template. You were chasing 125. You were chasing that. By the way, Shomik Chakraborty writes to me, Cricket Australia lost $3.3 million for a 2-day finish at Perth. This is going to hit them even more. Wow. Shomik tells me this will hit them even more because CA, and by the way, CA is not BCCI. So when you're talking about 3.3 million for Perth, close to about 5 million for the MCG, much bigger stadium, 95,000 capacity. Imagine what it will mean for Cricket Australia. How are you going to justify this as an advertisement for Test cricket? You have given the English a new lifeline by allowing this thing called Bazball to come back and become relevant again. All of a sudden, it's 3-1. England has momentum going into Sydney. If somehow they make it 3-2, Bazball has a new lease of life, and everyone will say, "Arey, this has been a very competitive series." That is a big problem. About 20 crore loss at Perth, exactly what Shomik said. Absolutely 20 crore loss at Perth. Here, it will be even more. Maybe about a 35 crore loss at the MCG. Seam-friendly pitches are exciting to watch. You know, I don't kind of agree with this. Who said this? Ramesh. With time, get better to bat, but dust bowls in India, terrible to watch. It's about skill. How is it great to watch and not great to watch? Spin is a skill. Playing pace is a skill. You think Melbourne was great to watch? The ball was jagging back. Steve Smith coming forward every ball, trying to cover his off stump. Somebody of the quality of Steve Smith. There was a Bryden Carr's ball which went through bat and pad, beat the wicketkeeper, buys for 4. Steve Smith had no idea. In fact, he even asked the non-striker what really happened. It went for 4. I mean, are you saying that that was good to watch? It wasn't, because the contest between bat and ball had been completely taken over by the ball. The bowler was reigning supreme. The batter was at his mercy, and that's not real Test cricket. When you're watching a dust bowl, Sunil Gavaskar at Bengaluru in 1986-87, that innings, it's as intense to watch. I mean, it's about quality. So if you think, okay, watching pace or movement is great to watch and batsmanship there, I think a dust bowl is as skillful, and it's a different kind of challenge. Yeah, visually, given the kind of pictures that we see, say in India and Australia, I understand where you're coming from. The picture has a bit of a freshness to it. Unfortunately, because of maybe pollution and things like that in India, we don't get that kind of visual. So that could be the reason you are saying this. Does this result help India in the WTC points? Look, ultimately, India has to beat Australia, and that will be a big series. And Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka, what we do against New Zealand, and then that 5-match series against Australia. Nothing can help India, provided India doesn't win. So while all of these results you can keep an eye on, as far as India is concerned, it will be what India does when they go to Sri Lanka in August. Prabhat Jayasuriya and company from ball 1 will be a dust bowl. How India adjusts to that will kind of decide India's fate. New Zealand, we've never not won against New Zealand for a long time. A hell of a long time back, that Gautam Gambhir period, 2009, that 137, that particular series. After that, when have you seen India winning a test match in New Zealand? Never. And Sena countries, New Zealand remains a bogey country. But if we are able to do with the fast bowling arsenal that we now have, things will change for India in this WTC cycle. Chances are slim, chances are tough, but nothing in cricket is impossible. But coming back to this particular test match again, the debate should rage. If we are giving, a rating, we will give this pitch a poor rating, an absolute poor rating. And that's what we will give. We will give a poor rating. Abhishek Rawat, Boria sir, for the moment, forget the pitch. What was the question? Sorry. Abhishek, I'm sorry, it just went away. What piece of play inspired you the most, or what you liked a spell of passage? Okay. I thought Jacob Bethel was impressive the way he batted. The guy has just come into this test match in place of Ollie Pope. England had just lost two. The game was still open. 65 for 210 to go. The way Jacob Bethel played, some of his pulls, some of the hooks, he was positive. He looked decent to me, got the 30-40 runs, and that's when the game actually turned in favor of England. So if you really ask me that, also, after the luncheon break, when England closed it off, that Bryden cast over, the 3 wickets in that over, Mitchell Stark gone, Michael Neser gone, consecutive those wickets, and then that Jai Richardson one straight drive, and then he kind of hiked the ball off Ben Stokes. So that period towards the end of the Australian innings and also the Jacob Bethel innings, I thought was a period of play which was very, very good. Which was very, very good from England's standpoint. They showed fight there. They were able to control the game there, which I thought stood out. My test team of the year, look, it has to be Australia. It has to be Australia because they beat India. And then, at the end of the year, they've also beaten England. It's 3-1. It's an aging team. The batting is suspect. The moment Travis Head doesn't perform, and Bharat Ramraj was making this point in our work group, Steve Smith, his batting form is on the wane. Marnus Labuschagne, not the usual confident, consistent self. Alex Carey has a bit of a come of age. Usman Khwaja going down. 1 year back, Sam Constas was the talking point of the whole Australian summer. And where is Sam Constas now? Doesn't even make the Australian team, Sam Constas. So Australia too is an aging side. The bowling, Scott Boland, Hazelwood, Pat Cummins and Mitch Stark. Post that, the Jai Richardsons of the world, not really of that league. Having said that, if you ask me, going forward, I don't know. But so far, beating India, beating England, you will have to say Australia has been the team of the year thus far. Fox Cricket posted RIP Test cricket after Eden Garden. Now what happened? Absolutely correct. Fox Cricket, if you can post, you go ahead and post. RIP Test cricket you were talking about, ask yourself, introspect, look into the mirror, and then come and tell us. Had it been, subcontinent, it would have been, by this time, you would have had 200 such posts from Fox Cricket and X Cricket and Y Cricket, and morchas would be taken out in India. Our former cricketers would be up in arms. World cricketers would have had 200 podcasts done and castigated India. But now that it is on your door, it is on Australia's own Melbourne cricket ground, the G. What are you talking about? You're not even mentioning it in that way. You will mention it subtly in some podcast here, some podcast there. But are you going to openly talk about, like Ben Stokes did, and say, oh, you know what, this was rubbish? This was a most pathetic example of what should not be in terms of the 22 yards that was given out there. Ben Stokes has clearly stoked the fire and taken things down by what he has said on BBC Test Match Special. I think Stokes was wonderful there. Wonderful there. Yash Dhul, 46 plus average. Look, he needs to do more, boss. I mean, you want to make an Indian spot your own, you need to do plenty more. So, Saket, let's not talk up the Yash Dhul. We've talked about players in the past. Yash Dhul has talent, make no mistake. But we've got to see more before we say he will be India's middle order bet going forward. I haven't seen that yet. I have not even seen him in India A to talk about that. So let's not talk up domestic performances based on a 46 plus average. Yes, he's a good player, but let him do at India A level and then graduate into test level like that. Otherwise, I don't really see that. Boria sir, who's this? Anshu Mishra. Tends to happen when you have 3 underperforming players in a team. Manas was horrible. Decline after 15 this year's average, etc., etc. Absolutely. And the question flew past. I agree. I absolutely agree with the fact that Manas is not the same player. He was not the same player against India. Jake Weatherald, I mean, if you take a look, Travis Head has become the #1 Australian batter in terms of impact. The moment Travis Head kind of doesn't score, Boria sir, tends to happen when you have 3 underperforming players. Manas, horrible decline. 15 this year's average BGT. Steve Smith had saved Australia, but Green, Manas, Khwaja. Absolutely correct. Today, did you see the Khwaja shot? Khwaja still in the middle order has looked pretty decent, but in the first innings also scored some runs. But today, that shot, the fielder station there, why would you play that shot and get out? And Cam Green, I really think Cam Green has to set things right. Otherwise, the talk about Cam Green being overrated, when you compare a Cam Green with a Ben Stokes and the effort that Ben Stokes is putting in, you realize that Cam Green, nowhere with the ball, with the bat, has been absolutely struggling. If he is the best all rounder, along with Ben Stokes, then Cam Green has a long distance to travel. Josh Tongue, good question, Vaibhav Taragi. Josh Tongue is an underrated bowler. Even today, the way Josh Tongue bowled and some of the balls, he was getting that angle and then the ball was breaking. And obviously, he was getting purchase and assistance from the wicket. Underrated bowler, rattled Australian batters. Absolutely correct, Vaibhav Taragi. Anurag Malpani, what is it? When home team loses in a test match where wicket is tricky, then there's talk of a pitch like this. Otherwise, when Australia beat South Africa in Brisbane, deadly wicket against India in Sydney, there was no talk. Of course, there was talk. Anurag, if you go and check our broadcasts in Sydney, it was the most horrible wicket that you could possibly get. And that's why the talk was, if Jasprit Bumrah did not get injured, Anurag, India could have won that test match in Sydney and could have been 2-2. Australia 181 all out, India 186-87 all. India had a lead. It was a shootout second innings. India scored 160, Australia closed it. Had India scored 200 plus and had Jasprit Bumrah not been injured, he was out. That was a big psychological edge for Australia because Bumrah was the bowler of the series and had picked up 30 plus wickets. If you remember, in BGT, had Bumrah been full strength like he was in Perth, or even in the second, third test match, the fitness levels that is, I think India could have closed out that Sydney test match. So there's no debate that the pitch was still the talk, but this one was even worse. This one was a horrible wicket with the 10 grass. So that's the point. Saket Adarsh, Boria Bhai, Yash Rathore has average. Shmaran is good. Yash, look, let them play India A. I understand where you're coming from, but let them play India A. It will be absolutely critical. It will be absolutely critical because you have to cut your teeth, go step by step, and then make it count in international cricket. Funny note, Duckett is going to party even harder tonight. Yeah, I mean, he should. Boxing Day, 2 days ended. They will go to Sydney and party around the Sydney Opera House and the New Year. The fireworks in Sydney around the Opera House and all of that. Every teammate will enjoy. The New Year test is an absolute cult test match. Now England has momentum. 5-0 no longer going to haunt them. So they have everything going for them now. So yes, I understand. And Duckett, by the way, redeemed himself somewhat by scoring that 34 of 26 in the second innings, which set the chase up. And then Crawley contributed, Root contributed, Harry Brook contributed. Each one got those little runs and Bazball got a new lease of life. Was this freaking awesome? You're right, sir. Most of the time, Australia bowlers have done the job. The top order has issues. 100% the top order has issues. 100% the Australian top order has issues. And even the bowling, Mitchell Starc, Josh Hazlewood, Pat Cummins, Scott Boland, an aging team. After that, when you see a Jai Richardson, a Michael Neeser, these kind of Sean Abbott kind of bowlers, you will say Brendan Doggett kind of bowlers, you will have to say they are certainly not of the quality of a Hazlewood, a Starc, or a Cummins. And that's when Australian cricket also tapers off. That's why I say that when India take on Australia, they will have a chance. But India has to play well. India has to play very, very well. Can India do that? We'll see. Anshu Mishra, why Australia Curator changed the beautiful nature of the Australian wicket, SCG, Test pitch and BGT substandard. Precisely what we are saying, Anshu. Precisely what we are saying, that the SCG Test wicket was a horrible wicket when India played. And you're dead right. When we see the nature of wickets at the MCG in the past, when we see the nature of wickets at the SCG, the games would go to game day 4, day 5. I think the ideal example of what should be the template for Test cricket is the India versus England series. Every match going into day 5, every match going into the wire, I mean, maybe the second session of day 5, Leeds was like that, Edgbaston like that, Lords, the last session, we know what was going on there. We saw Oval, absolutely last day because of the rain. Yes, once again, day 5. Manchester, India saved it with 5 days. The best example, I mean, yes, it's a one-off series, but I think the best template and example of a test series will have to be the India versus England series in 2025. Nothing betters that. At first day, 300 for 7, 320 for 8. That kind of a, and then the batting, the team that is bowling, when it's their turn to bat, they too score a 300. That kind of sets it up. And then you have a second innings fight. Here, 35 overs an average. 35 overs. You are telling me that a team gets all out in 35 overs? 144 overs bowled and 36 wickets falling. So you're talking every 4 overs wicket falls. Every 3 overs wicket falls. 36 wicket falls. Come on. This is an absolute lottery. And if you see some of the way, every batter, England batter, they were trying to go for shots almost every ball except Root blocked some. And that's because they knew some ball will have their number. That's not how you play test match cricket. That's not how you advertise test match cricket. That's not how you compete with commercially viable formats like the T20. Test cricket needs support. Test cricket is under challenge. Yes, in Australia, you will say 95,000 people, correct? But you also have a Big Bash League going on. You have challenges from other commercially viable formats. When you have a 90,000 plus captive audience sitting there to come and watch day 3, why would you not prepare a deck that will allow you to do that? Someone asked at the start of the show that it could have broken all crowd records. He's 150% right. Had this test match gone 4 days, can you imagine what we are talking about? You're talking about 350,000 plus people at the MCG. This would have become an Australian record, and any team, because no other ground is as big, you would have found it impossible to break this record of spectatorship that MCG had. In 2 days, it had 180,000. And what did you do? You prepared a substandard track which kind of robbed fans of watching day 3 and day 4. This has been a real disaster. Ripon Ghosh, Australia makes Sydney pitch like Melbourne, because last year also, you are right. You're absolutely right, Ripon Ghosh. Last year, the Sydney pitch was a disaster. After this, I doubt if they will make it like this, because they will know that a lottery pitch can also go in England's way. Last year, it could have gone India's way had Jasprit Bumrah not been injured. Mohammad Siraj and Prasidh Krishna were the 2 bowlers that India had on day 5. If you remember, Prasidh Krishna got Steve Smith of that Jaffer where he was caught at gully or point there. And Mohammad Siraj was the only bowler. Jasprit Bumrah could not bowl. India was down a man, and all of a sudden Australia managed to win that Sydney test match. Had Jasprit Bumrah been fit, who knows what would have happened. 3 more substandard pitches of this decade. Australia, yes, correct. Are bhai, our question key. 3 more substandard pitches. Australia versus South Africa, Gabba. India versus Australia, Indore. And this one, yeah, could possible. Australia versus South Africa, yes, yes, the Indore pitch, yeah, that was also a horrible one. And this one was an absolute pathetic one. Absolutely pathetic one. Absolutely pathetic one. What is this? How do you rate Indian cricket team for the year 2025? First time women something. First time women team made a headline than men. I think it is the coming of age of Indian women's cricket. With that World Cup trophy, I would want to see much more consistent performances from the women's team going forward. I would want to see them at least making the final of the World T20 in England in June, July. I know the 50-over format is India's favored format, but I also know that there is talent there. Yes, Australia is a better side. England will be competitive and a better team at home, but India should want to pull punches and punch above their weight. New Zealand will be a decent team, but they are again an aging team. And in the absence of the greats. So Australia, England, South Africa will be the teams to beat. Can India push these kind of teams in the World T20? Women's cricket, definitely. The one highlight sporting moment will have to be India's World Cup win, the Women's World Cup win. So make no mistake about it. Men's cricket, I've done this review, whoever asked this question, Anurag Malpani. I think red ball cricket, maximum 4.5 out of 10. The defeat against South Africa at home will continue to rankle. The high point was the test series against England. Brilliant test series 2-all. Australia series at the start of the year, India lost. So maximum 4.5. One-day cricket, very good year. Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, the kind of joy that they've given, 7.5 out of 10. And T20 cricket, India's best format. The kind of talent, the kind of depth we now have, I would say 8.5, 9 out of 10. So that's how I rate Indian cricket in this particular year. Really worried about our Sri Lankan tour next year, says Fitbunk. There were raging turners, 100% correct. From ball one, you will see the ball spin. And unfortunately, we don't play spin that well anymore. So you would want to see extra preparation. You would want to see the team go there, prepare in dust bowls like Tendulkar did with Narendra Hirwani and Lakshman Shivaramakrishnan bowling to him when he was preparing for a Shane Warne. You would want to see a Shubman Gill or a players, a Dhruv Jurel or KL Rahul or Rishabh Pant take time out and make sure that they're adequately well prepared for Sri Lanka. Because if you go to Sri Lanka underdone, you will be taken down easily by that Sri Lankan spin group. And it will be a clear period of raging turners, which India will have to negotiate. New Zealand Test Series is the real challenge, says Freaking Awesome. You're again 100% right. I've already referred to it. India, New Zealand. In New Zealand, green wickets. Ball will do a lot. Will move, will seam, will jag. Will India be able to stand up to the challenge? Could well decide India's WTC fortunes. Best Indian sporting performance of 2025, I would say the Women's World Cup win. The Women's World Cup win and shooting as a sport is my number one sport with the kind of World Championship effort we have seen from our shooters in Cairo, the year-end effort that we have seen in Doha, the level of talent that we are seeing at the junior level and also the senior level. Absolutely mind-blowingly good Indian shooting. I think we are in safe hands. I think it is a fabulous, fabulous year for Indian shooting. Who is our permanent number 3 from August 26? I don't see a permanent number 3 yet. I know you will try Sai Sudarshan. You've tried Washington Sundar. Washington Sundar did show some mettle. I don't think India has been able to zero in on a number 3, which I think is a big problem for us. Rupayon Guho Niyogi, according to you, I've answered your question number 3. I think more or less the question, when will you expect IPL fixtures? There is time. From what I know, it will start around the 25th, 26th of March. So that's when the IPL is expected to start. 24th, 25th, 26th of March is when the IPL is expected to start in 2026. World Cup ends on the 18th. Our conclave is between the 14th and 17th of March. We will give you the details. 14, 16 and 17, 3 days. Trailblazers, the biggest and best sports conclave in India this time round. Unbelievable plans. We will disclose the plans as we go forward. Rohan Dixit, Cricket Australia likely to face a loss of 60 crores because of the wow, Rohan. Thank you very much for giving me that stat. Cricket Australia loses, or Rohan Dixit says they stand to lose 60.5 crores, which is 3 times the amount of what they've lost at Perth. Wow. And that is the kind of money that you've lost because of what happened at the MCG. I think that's time. I've got to get into a sponsor meeting again, but I absolutely love doing this show, folks. I love doing this show. Serious show, serious engagement. Look at the number of questions. People asking intelligent questions. I try and take as many as possible. And this is my time to come and interact with you on multi-sport. Today we did cricket. I will again move to other sports and will try and do as holistic a show as is possible. So that's the plan going forward. How to improve an Indian women's hockey team? Fascinatingly good question, and that's what Hockey India is desperately trying to do. The league will help. The Hockey India League, which starts tomorrow, will help. You want to see a coach. They're trying to get, from what I know, they're trying to get Shard Marina back for the women's team after Harinder. So we've got to see, because unless you win the Asian Games, qualify for the Olympics, unless you're competitive, you've dropped out of the Pro League, women's hockey is not in good health at all. So one has to improve there. India qualify for WTC. Obviously, there is a chance, but very slim chance. India will have to do very, very well against Sri Lanka and New Zealand. Then things will open up. FIFA World Cup Asche, the mother of all tournaments. 100%. Look at the year. Look at the year. January Under-19 World Cup. Rev Sports will be there in numbers. Vaibhav Tripathi and Rohit Juglan. February World T20. All of us will be covering it from on ground. March, April IPL. Obviously All England and badminton. February badminton. April, May we know IPL. May Indian women's team in England. June the FIFA World Cup. June Women's World Cup in the UK. July Commonwealth Games. August Badminton World Championship in Delhi. August Hockey World Cup in Netherlands and Belgium. September Asian Games in Japan. And absolutely incredible sports here. So plenty to do, folks. That's where I would end today's show. Thank you very much for watching.